Dr. T.V. Geeta, Professor, Department of Computer Science, College of Engineering, Guindy, Anna University. Her special interest, Artificial Intelligence and Natural Language. She has published more than 143 articles in national and international journals. She has guided around 7 PhD students. She has got Young Scientist Award from Government of Tamil Nadu in the year 2000, Chief Minister's Special Mention Award in the year 2002 and Woman of Excellence by Rotary Club in the year 2003.
Welcome to the UGC lecture series. In this lecture we are going to talk about entity relationship modeling, which I had already touched upon in the last lecture. Here we are going to go into some details about entity relationship modeling. We are going to see one example of how to design using entity relationship model, the conceptual design, and then we are going to go into some extensions of the entity relationship model. So basically we are going to understand more in detail about what is meant by roles, constraints and cardinality of the relationships in entity ER model. Then we are going to walk through a simple ER model constructions, given an example how to construct an ER model, and then we are going to look at some concepts in the extended ER model, the subclass and the superclass. So let us first look at what we mean by roles or entity roles. Remember in the last class we had spoken about what are entities, what are entity sets, what are relationships and what are attributes. Those are the three concepts that we covered in the last class. So in this class we are going to talk about entity roles. Now each entity type that participates in a relationship plays a particular role in the relationship type. So for example, you have two entities, departments and you have employees, and then this is the relationship works in employees works in the departments. Now here this part of the relationship is worker and this part of the relationship is employer. So this employer and worker are what are called as roles. So they are the role names. So the role name basically signifies that the participating entity in the relationship plays a particular role in each relationship instance, and in essence that explain what a relationship means. So for example, you can also have teacher as an entity and students as an entity, and here you can have teachers. So here you will have the teacher being the employee, courses and teachers, and you have this. So you can have different types of roles that the entities plays in this relationship. Now you can also have recursive relationship. Here the role becomes very important. So for example, look here, this is a recursive relationship because supervision is the relationship and employees. So the supervision relationship it is between the entity employee and another entity employee itself. That is why it is called a recursive relationship. But however, the roles played is different. So the supervision, there will be one supervisor who plays the role of a supervisor and others who plays the role of subordinates. So both of them, whether they are a supervisor or a subordinate, both of them are belong to type entities. Okay. So that is why this supervision relationship becomes a part of the is between two employee entities, and that is why it is called a recursive relationship. Now let us go into important part of a relationship. So a relationship, entities in a relationship have certain roles, that is what we have seen till now. Another thing that we have seen is that entities, two entities can take part in the same relationship. So a relationship can be between entities of the same type. Now what are relationship constraints? So constraints on relationship are actually determined by UOD. You remember what UOD is? UOD is nothing but the universe of discourse. So the universe of discourse is what finally these entities and relationships and attributes are all about, and these constraints are placed on these relationships. It depends on what is the universe of discourse. So constraints on the relationship, constraint means it puts some conditions. So it can limit the possible combination of entities and that may participate in the corresponding relationship set. Please note, when we talk about the relationship also is finally a set. So what are the participating entities in that set can be constrained or limited by use of these constraints. So in ER model we have two type of constraints, one is called as cardinality constraints and the other is called as participation constraints. Together these are called as structural constraints. So, the constraints by the specific notation, the constraints can be represented by in the ER diagram by a special notation. Okay. So, let us look at, so first let us look at cardinality constraint. Now, this cardinality constraint is termed by the what is called as cardinality ratio. Now, when we were talking about relations as in mathematics, there also we had what is called as cardinality constraint or cardinality mapping or whatever it was called in maths. The same concept is what we are going to use here. But now we are talking about a real time application that we are taking, which is a database application, and we are talking about entities and relationship, and we are telling that the relationship specifies that an entity can have certain only certain number of cardinality means number, there are only total number of entities that can take part in that relationship. So, let us look at the definition. The cardinality ratio for a binary relation, we have specified that ER model prefers binary relationship, specifies the number of relationship instances that an entity can participate in. So, when we talk about two entities and the relationship between them, we have the number of instances that can participate. Now, how many instances can you have for each entity is what the cardinality ratio is trying to tell you. So, let us take an example of works in, here is departments and here is employees. Now, the participating entities are obviously departments and employees. Now, here we have a constraint that one department can have many employees, but one employee can have only one department. I mean, one employee can participate only in one department. He cannot be associated with more than one department, but one department can have many employees. So, this has a cardinality ratio of 1:n, that is department can be only one, employees can be many, okay, for one department. So, this is what is called a cardinality ratio, it is a 1:n, that is 1:many, that is the cardinality mapping. So, this is what we have to first understand. Please note that this is dependent upon the semantics of your application. So, let us look at what are the possible cardinality ratios that are there before we go and apply it to an example. So, let us take this is a 1:1 mapping, that is both entities can participate in only one relationship instance. An example of this can be that suppose there is a constraint saying that one student can have one teacher only and one teacher can take only one student, then it is a 1:1, it is not a realistic scenario, but it is a 1:1 relationship. This is not normally very few examples and applications would need this type of cardinality mapping. So, both entities can participate only in one relationship instance, that is the 1:1. Now, you have 1:many and many:1, that is 1:n and n:1. So, here one can participate in many, okay. So, that is 1:many. So, you have this is a 1:1, this is 1:many and this is a 1:1. Here we have a many:1. So, 2 can go to more than 1, okay. I mean 2 together goes to 1. Here if you look this goes to many, but from this angle also it goes to many. So, this is 1:many, this is many:1. This is an important part of the cardinality relation. So, basically we have, you can also have many:many. So, that is the fourth. So, you have 1:1, 1:many, many:1 and many:many. So, here 1:1 both entities can participate only one relationship instance, 1:many one entity can participate in many relationship instances and many relationship instances can participate only in one, and many-to-many both entities can participate in many instances. So, this is the mathematical aspect of cardinality ratio. Now, we will see how this is applicable to a real time application. So, for example, how many employees can work in a department? One employee can work only in one department. How many employees can be employed by a department? One department can employ many employees. So, the employees to department, you will have department can be only one, but employees can be many. How many managers can a department have? one department can have only one manager. How many departments can employee manage? One employee can manage only one department. So, this is a one department has only one manager and one employee can manage only one department. So, this is a 1:1 relationship. Now, let us take another example. This is course, this is day, this is room and this is the meets. So, a course meets twice a week. So, course and the meets relationship, it is 2 relationship. A day can have an unlimited number of meetings. So, unlimited number of meetings n. A room can have up to 40 meetings. This is not a binary relationship, 40 meetings. So, that 40 is put here. So, this is a typical example of a cardinality. Now, let us look at the next constraint, participation constraint, which is told by the concept of existence dependency. So, what is existence dependency? Now, existence dependency indicates whether the existence of an entity depends on its relationship to another entity via the relationship type. Now, every employee must work for a department. This is the existence relationship or dependency that we are talking about. So, what does this mean? This means that employees are essentially dependent on department via the works in relationship. So, this says that every employee must work in a department. So, this says that this employee is dependent upon department by the works in relationship. So, there are a number of types of participating constraints. One is total participation, which is the existence dependency. Every employee must work for a department, that is the employee cannot exist without working for a department. So, that is called as the existence constraint, or it is also called as total participation. Then you have something called partial participation. The constraint says that not every employee is a manager. So, there are some employees that are manager, but not every employee is a manager. This is called as partial participation. So, you normally represent participation like this: every employee must work for a department. So, employee to works in is a total participation. Every department must have a manager. So, every department must have a manager. So, that is a total participation. Every department must have employees. So, every department must have employees. So, that is also total participation. Not every employee is a manager. So, this is a partial participation. So, this tells that if you have an employee, he should have a department associated with him. If there is a department, a manager should be associated with him, and every department there should be employees. So, these are things that we are talking about. Now, look here, if you look here, a department can have one manager, a manager can, an employee can have only one manager, many employees can work in a department, okay, but the department, one employee can work only in one department. So, all these together are represented by both. Now, we are talking about two concepts. One is the mapping, how many can you have, and second is about the participation. Every employee, does he have to work in a department? Yes, but every employee is not necessarily a manager. So, that is the partial constraint. Now, associated with relationships, before, remember, when we associated, we had attributes associated with a entity. Now, we are talking about attributes associated with a relationship type. So, relationship types can also have attributes just as entity types. For example, here you have store and you have product, and store has lot of attributes. We are not discussing all the attributes, the name, locations, manager. Just for revision, S name is the what do you say, the key or the primary attribute, and then store is connected to product by the keeps relationship. So, the store keeps these products. So, products has a P name, a price and a description, where P name is the primary entity. Now, now here this store and this product, you can associate keeps with a attribute quantity. So, this essentially means this store keeps this product and it gives this number of this product. So, this is a typical example of an attribute that you can have, and we look at some of these, this is basically what all we have discussed. We will continue with this as we go along to the next, just so you have entity, you have the attributes, you have relationship type, you have weak entity, you have identifying relationship, key attribute, partial key, optional attributes. We will come to this later. This is multi-valued attributes. We will come to each of this in a little in detail after the break. Now, let us take a small break. Welcome back after the break. So, before we go further, we are going to look at a conceptual design of how to design an ER model given an application. So, before we go to that, let us quickly go through each of the model notations that we have seen up to now. So, first this is a entity type. I do not have to explain entity type. Every entity can have an attribute, as we have just seen before the break. And every relationship also can have an attribute. It is also given by this notation. I am more bothered about the notation here. This is a relationship type. Now, here this is X. This says that entity X participates at least n, at most m times in the relationship. So, this is that cardinality, and if you look here, this is a weak entity type. We have discussed this in the last class. This is a identifying relationship. This is a key attribute, this is a derived attribute, you get it from something else. This is a multi-valued, you can have number of phone numbers, so that is a multi-valued attribute. Now, here T1 and T2 are overlapping, and entity can belong to both T1 and T2. We will come a little bit in detail about this later. This is saying it is a partial key, this is an optional attribute, this we will discuss in later as we go along. Now, let us take a conceptual design. What we want to do is, we are given an example application. I am going to walk you through a complete ER model, design. So, that is what we are going to do. So, now let us see how to do conceptual design using ER models. So, given a description of an application, the first thing you need to do is you have to identify the entities, you have to identify the attributes, you have to identify the relationships, and you have to identify the cardinality ratios. So, these are the 4 things you have to first do. So, there are some general guidelines that you can follow. Now, entities are generally things or objects, so they are most probably nouns in the description. This is not a hard and fast rule, this is some heuristics that we follow or guidelines that we follow. And attributes are facts, can be facts, or they can be properties. So, they can most probably will be nouns or adjectives, and most probably verbs will describe the relationship between the entities. This is not always true, as I already told you, they are just guidelines. So, this let us start with this. So, this is the example that we are going to take. So, a university consists of a number of departments. Each department offers several courses. Please understand the application. A number of modules make up each course. So, each course has some number of modules. Students enroll in a particular course and take modules towards completion of that course. Each module is taught by a lecturer. Module in that application it is called module, it can be even subjects. Each module is taught by a lecturer from an appropriate department, and each lecturer tutors a group of students. So, now we are going to first we have to identify the entities. So, some of the possible entities are nouns, as we said, departments, courses, modules, students, and lecturer. So, these can be the 5 entities. So, and next we look at what the relationships can be. A university consists of a number of departments. Each department offers several courses. So, offers can be a relationship. A number of modules make up each course. So, make up can be a relationship. Students enroll in a particular course. So, that can be a relationship, and take modules. So, take can be a relationship. Each module is taught by a lecturer. So, that can be a relation. Now, here from the we are putting as a relationship, this is not actually a verb, but we still feel it can be a relationship, and tutors is another relationship. So, we have looked at entities and we have looked at relationship. So, let us take the entities that we looked at. So, the entities that we looked at are department, course, module, lecturer, student. So, this is from where departments, courses, modules, students, lecturer. So, that is what we have taken and we have put it in the notation of a ER diagram. Next, we are taking offers. So, between, now look here, each department offers several courses. So, between department and course you have an offers, and this I will talk to you later. A number of course modules make up each course. So, here you have between course and module you have includes, make up has been changed as includes. Then you have next is enroll. So, tell me what it should be. Between students and course there should be an enroll. So, between student and course there should be an enrolls. Okay. Then let us go, next is take. So, take should be between course and modules or student and modules. So, student enrolls in a course and it takes modules. Then modules are taught by lecturers, teaches, okay. And lecture, remember here we had lecturer from the appropriate department. So, that is why the from the was put there. So, you had, so what does this ER diagram tell you? You have entities, department, course, module. So, just let us go here, department, course, module, student, lecturer. Then we have each department offers several courses. So, you had that from that. Then you had a number of modules make up each course. So, that is what you had. Then you had students enroll in a particular course, that the relation between that. Then student take module. So, that is this. Then taught by a lecturer, that is this, and this is the from. So, now you have a complete ER diagram, okay, of, we have not considered everything, we have just considered the entities and the relationships. Now, each tutor tutors a group of students. So, each tutor tutors a group of students. So, a lecturer tutors a group of students. So, that also you have. So, this is the final relationship. A lecturer teaches a module, he also tutors a group of students and he belongs to a department. Look at lecturer, he is involved in 3 relationship, all the 3 are binary relationship, teaches, employs and tutors. Now, so this is a typical example of this. Now, let us look at this. Here if you look, this is a notation. Now, department can offer many courses. A course is offered only by one department. I will tell you this. So, this is an N relationship, this is a 1. In fact, there are many notations by which this is said. Previously, we saw 1 is to N, like that also you can say. Then here if you look, a student enrolls in a course, but many students can enroll in one course. And then a lecturer, one lecturer tutors many students, okay. Student can take many modules, he enrolls only in one course, but module can have many students, student can take many modules. So, that is this. Course can include many modules, the module can belong to many courses. Then if you look here, department offers many courses, a course is offered only by one department. Lecturer teaches many modules, but one module is taught by only one lecturer, that is depending upon the application. Sometimes one module can be shared by 2 lecturers, then here also you will have a mini relationship. Then if you look here, a department employs many lecturers, but the lecturer can belong only to one department. So, that is what this is about. So, we have looked at 3 aspects of the conceptual design. One is how to identify entities, next how to identify relationships, and next how to talk about the cardinality between the the cardinality participation of the entities with the relationships. Okay. Now, please note how you decide, is it one or is it many, and what are the relationships, is this, what are the relationships, you have a guideline, but for cardinality ratio it is dependent upon how you understand the application, the semantics of the application. So, if you have a database there, unless you understand the semantics of the application, you cannot draw the ER diagram, conceptual design cannot be done. Now, let us go to, it is not that a ER model consists only of entities, relationships, attributes, relationship attributes, the cardinality and the participation constraint. That is the basic ER model, but ER model has been extended to associate with it many other things also. So, what is it that it does? So, you have another model which is called the EER or the extended ER model, and in this the entity type, not the entity type is called the class in ER, and once you call it a class, the entity type can have superclass and subclass. So, in this section, in this lecture, we are also going to talk about superclass and subclass. Entities in the same class have the same attributes, and attributes of a superclass, just like in many other areas of computer science also, obviously the attributes of superclass are inherited by the subclass. So, this is, so actually the superclass subclass concept has brought into the picture to differentiate between certain subsets. Okay. So, subclass can have more specific attributes, subclass can have its own specific relationships also, and every entity in a subclass is a member of the superclass or classes. So, let us define what is meant by subclass and superclass. An entity may have additional meaningful subgroupings of its entities. So, for example, employee may be grouped into secretary, engineer, technician based on the employee's job, and there are some employees who can be managers, and then you can have employees also being classified as salaried employee and hourly employee based on the employee's method of pay. Now, please note what we have done here is the employee entity has been classified based on three perspectives. One is depending upon his job, he gets classified under secretary, engineer, technician. Based upon whether he is a manager or not, he gets classified, and whether he is the type of pay that he draws, whether it is a salaried employee or an hourly employee. So, you can have a secretary who is salaried, a secretary, the same secretary can also be based on, I mean some other secretary can be based on hourly employee. So, this is how we understand the semantics of the superclass subclass. So, ER diagrams extend our original ER diagrams to represent these additional groupings and are called subclasses or subtypes. So, entity types refined into subclasses and superclasses, this is the notations. So, subclass entity types can inherit both attributes and relationship from the superclass entity type. So, sometimes this is also called as an ISA relationship, secretary is an employee, technician is an employee. So, this is also note, you can represent it this way also. An entity that is a member of a subclass represents the same real world entity as some member of the superclass also. Now, the subclass member of the same entity, as we already told before, plays a specific role. Entity cannot exist in the database merely by being a member of the subclass, it also has to be a member of the superclass. You cannot just have members in the subclass alone. A member of a superclass can optionally be included as a member of a number of subclasses. So, what we are trying to say here is a subclass member has also to be a member of the superclass one, and one subclass can be members of many included as a member of many of it, a number of subclasses. So, let us take an example, as already we have seen this. A salaried employee who is also an engineer belongs to two subclasses, engineer and salaried employee. A salaried employee who is also an engineering manager belongs to three subclasses, he is a manager, he is an engineer and he is also a salaried employee. So, it means that one entity itself can belong to three subclasses. Okay. So, it is not necessary that every entity in a subclass must be a member of subclass. So, an entity that is a member of subclass inherits all attributes of the entity and all relationships of the superclass. So, this is a simple example of what we have defined just now. You have employee, now employee can be a manager, he can be an hourly employee, or he can be now this says that, we will talk about these things later. This just says that an employee can be an hourly employee or a salaried employee, an employee can be a manager, need not be a manager, an employee can be another class, secretary, technician and engineer. Okay. An employee manager, if he is a manager, he manages project, if he is an hourly employee, he belongs to trade union and so on. So, and you have attribute specific. Now, this attributes belongs to all these. In addition, this has typing speed, these particular subclasses have certain attributes that are special to this. We will talk about specialization a little more in detail in the next lecture. Okay. So, this is we have spoken about roles, attributes and cardinality of relationship. We have seen the walkthrough of a construction of an ER diagram and we have looked at just the superclass and subclass of the ER. We are going to see more later on. So, what I want you to do here is, I want you to be given the following entities. I have not given you that work. So, given performers, movies and movie makers with certain attributes. I want you to these are assumptions. A movie one or more can have one or more actresses, and actors can act in multiple movies, and a movie is made by only one company. With this constraints, I want you to model the ER model. So, with that, let us wind up this lecture. Thank you.